Welcome in, Raiders. It's Vamp back again in Raid Shadow Legends, and today we're going to talk about silver. We need to talk about it because we don't have any of it, because this is a problem that I think that probably it's safe to say Raid players across pretty much the whole spectrum have this issue. So brand new players, for sure, silver issue. Like you really need to watch your silver, you're going to run out. As far as I know, Whale and Kraken players also need to watch their silver or they're going to run out. Now, obviously, if you can farm higher level dungeons and stuff like that, you have the opportunity to sell more gear that's worth more silver, and then you also farm higher silver per run just for your, like, I don't know, your extra, your auxiliary silver that comes along with beating a dungeon. But even so, the players in the game that are very advanced still complain about silver being a problem. So Plarium, please give us more silver, or make things cost less silver to do in the game, or make less things that we do in the game cost silver at all. Maybe make some of them free. That would be awesome. But for today, we're going to talk about the main event that you need to be able to do for fusions or Titan events or whatever that requires silver as the primary method for you to complete that event, and that is the Gear Enhancement Event. Okay, so as you can see here, we have one for the current fusion. I think his name is Lord Entertainer Fabian. That's definitely close. I think that's his exact name. And basically, guys, in prepping for this video to show you guys this method, I think I was at like 1260 or something like that, so about halfway through this tier, and just prepping, meaning that I just leveling up some gear, kind of using this method to clear out some space so that I could put in, like, I don't know, about 100 pieces of gear from my inbox to show in the video. We got like 15, a little bit less than 1,500 points. That's pretty good. Obviously, we need a lot more. We need about 4 times that. But I already did have some points, obviously. But getting, like, I don't know, about a quarter-ish of what you need, kind of just messing around with this method is crazy, because if you're actually willing and able to devote the time, because that's the primary currency we're using here, right? So in this method, we're going to talk about how you can do this kind of min-maxy thing that players who are struggling to complete fusions and complete gear enhancement events maybe don't know about, right? Like kind of like a top player secret thing. And it will actually allow you to simultaneously gain points in these gear enhancement events while actually making silver. So ending up with more silver than when you started. So if we go back here, we'll talk about real quick about Fabian's kit in 1 second. But as you can see up here, I'm a level 100 player, fairly experienced in the game, maybe very experienced in the game, with only 1 million silver. I don't really feel like I blow silver on a lot of like dumb stuff. Like I said, I'm experienced enough in the game to have an idea of what kind of gear I want to keep and what kind of gear I want to roll and blah, blah, blah. And there's just like egregiously never enough silver in the game. Like I could literally have 10 times the silver that I'm able to make and easily spend it and still not be caught up. So it's definitely an issue in the game. But that being an issue and a pain point in the game is the catalyst for today's video. So when you're trying to do something like a fairly difficult old school fusion where you got a bunch of things to do and you have a lot of events to keep up with, and it's got a pretty aggressive schedule like Lord Entertainer Fabian, you really need to make sure that these kinds of events are unlocked so that you can focus on the more difficult events, or that you don't just like end up grinding yourself into a hole and running out of silver and not knowing what to do, right? So real quick, let's talk about his kit very briefly, because that's not the point of this video. But he's got a fairly meh A1, to be quite frank with you. His A2, I would say, is probably his money skill. He can attack one enemy and petrify them for a turn, which is a really strong debuff. It might be the strongest form of crowd control. Then has a 75 bucks to 100% chance of true fearing the other enemies on the team. Okay, so that's crazy. And then he has a passive effect where he can actually proc this skill unless he's crowd controlled whenever somebody who's under fear or true fear actually is able to get their turn, meaning that it was the 50% chance for fear or true fear not to proc on them. So a lot of true fear based crowd control with a single target petrification, which can just be really nice. I remember seeing, I think it was Boozer testing him in live arena, or not live arena, classic arena on the test server, and using that petrification against someone like a Sifi is really, really, really nice, right? When you're going against an enemy team. Then this skill is actually kind of basically a big buff strip. I would say it's not technically one, but if you think about the fact that he's got a 100% chance after being booked of decreasing the duration of all enemy buffs by 3 turns, and like no buff that I know of in the game goes on for longer than 3 turns. So basically he's taking whatever buffs they put up and decreasing it by the maximum amount of turns it could have, which means that it will decrease it until it removes it, if that makes sense. I don't really know why they have this coded like this instead of just a buff strip. Maybe this is like slightly less OP and gives more chances for the enemy champion you're trying to strip to resist or something like that. But then he has a 75 books to 100% chance of increasing cooldowns of all enemy skills by 3 turns, which is awesome. He does have an affinity issue because he's not void and because he has to hit. It's an attacks all enemy skill, but still increasing enemy cooldowns by 3 turns is a very strong skill. Then grants an extra turn if he does a full strip. That almost is like the best part of this skill because, like I said, given that it's decreasing by 3 turns, it's almost guaranteed if he has enough accuracy, doesn't get resisted to be a full strip, then gives him an extra turn, then he can go into his hard CC skill. Very cool. It's got a passive that says when they're revived, he can true fear them for 2 turns. So he's got a lot of true fear going on. Makes him slightly less OP than someone, in my opinion. We'll see though, right? How the play goes when he's actually widespread throughout the game. But the CC for true fear seems a little bit less strong than stun. But anyway, got an all battles speed aura. Honestly, kind of wish that was arena a little bit higher. But anyway, that's enough with him. Difficult fusion, and currently live there's a gear enhancement event, and I'm sure, I don't have the calendar pulled up right now, that there's going to be at least one other one, if not 2. So let's talk about this method, right? In this method, what we're going to do is, I mean, you don't have to have it in your inbox. I have a bunch of gear in my inbox. So what I did was I pulled like 100 pieces or so into my inventory. We're going to go to just new. For some reason, yeah, 100. There we go. It is 100. So I actually must have pulled over 100 because there's a couple pieces that aren't showing up here above the resistance set. But anyway, that's not the point. So the point is, I wish that raid allowed you to do like a mass upgrade to a specified level, but they don't. So you can do that, I believe, in RSL Helper, but that's kind of an evolved thing that doesn't really work for mobile players, so we're not going to get into that in this video. What we are going to get into is this method being a method for struggling or free-to-play players or people that are trying to not completely lose all progression during things like these big fusions, and figuring out how to get these gear enhancement events done without completely burning out of silver is kind of difficult. So you may be familiar with this method. I'm not going to say this is an original thought. I'll actually shout out somebody who's a longtime viewer on the channel that sent me a DM, said I should do this video. But basically what we're going to do, guys, is fairly simple, right? We're going to go in here, we're going to upgrade to 4. Watch this. This is a 5-star piece, 6,300 silver. Very low silver, right? I will go ahead and tell you that I tested this. It doesn't matter what the rarity is. It only matters what the rank is, and the rank is the star count. So for all 5-star pieces, we'll upgrade to level 4 for the same price. And the reason for that, and I just want to clarify this in case anybody gets any bright ideas, right, watching this video, if you start going above to like level 8, now you get a variable cost because you get chances to fail. So if it fails and you have it on instant upgrade, it's just going to keep re-upgrading to get to the next level. So let's say if it's going from 4 to 5 and the first one fails and you have it on instant upgrade, it's going to retry again to see if it fails or succeeds. If it fails again, it's going to retry. So that's just costing you more and more silver, right? When you're going to level 4, it only gives you a set amount of cost because all 4 levels up from 1 to 4 are guaranteed. Okay, so hopefully that was helpful for you to just understand why the emphasis here is to just upgrade to 4, because we can control how much silver we're spending. So we spent 6,300. Watch this. When we go to sell this piece, look what it sells for. 35,625. As you guys know, I joke a lot about being not very good at math on the channel. That's a lot more than 6,300. So we're going to sell that. Now, you don't have to upgrade, sell, upgrade, sell, upgrade, sell. I just want to show you guys that. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go through and upgrade. And now look, you want to be looking out for decent gear while you're doing this, but you should also upgrade your crap gear, okay? Because we just saw that we're making a ton of silver. Plus, even though it's small points for just 4 levels, we're making, you know, incremental points toward the event by upgrading to 4, and we're still overall making silver. So it's kind of like a waste to say, okay, well, I don't want this BC gear, these are both bad, right? And just sell them outright. We're losing out on points toward the gear enhancement event. So we're not going to do that. We're going to upgrade everything to 4. And then if we see a piece that's actually good, we'll upgrade it higher than level 4. So let's go ahead and upgrade this to 4. I don't like this piece. This piece has like no synergy in the substats. So upgrade to 4. Upgrade. I don't like that piece either. Flat stat attack boots. Absolute no. I meant to click this. Here we go. I don't like this piece. Again, flat stat attack. So even the trash pieces, like I already said, we're upgrading, and we're upgrading everything. And by the way, for anybody who's detail oriented like me and cares, here we go with a 6-star piece. So it does cost a little bit more. Going to level 4 is $97.50. And look at what it sells for. A rare piece, right? Now, what 45,000. So what was that, like approximately 5 times the price that we spent to upgrade it? One thing that I will say before somebody crucifies me in the comments is that when you're selling, the rarity matters. So when you're and I kind of like this, all right? This is actually like fairly chill because Plarium is basically allowing us to sell higher rarity pieces for more without charging us more to upgrade them. So when you're upgrading, it gives you a set amount up to level 4 based on the rank. So the stars on your piece, 4, 5, 6. When you're selling, it actually does take into account the rarity of the piece, so the color, right? Like the blue, purple, gold. So I'll show you that in 1 second. So like, let's keep upgrading to level 4. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Definitely don't want to equip it. Good God, didn't mean to click that. Okay, so let's get through. Here's another rare 6-star. So we saw, what was it, $97.50 to do a level 4 upgrade on a blue. So here's a 6-star, also bad. That's legendary. It's going to cost the same $97.50. Watch. Boom, $97.50 to level 4. But then when we go to sell it, instead of being 45,000, look what it is, 97,000. So I'm sure you guys can see already we're going to make a ton of silver from doing this. It's just going to require a little bit of time from you. It's not particularly convenient, but if you're like me and this is more convenient than slaving away in a dungeon or buying energy because you ran out of silver and you need to go farm more spider or whatever, this is a good alternative for people like us. Okay, so let's keep upgrading. I'm not going to make you guys watch all of these pieces, right? But I want to do like, probably, I wanted to show you guys the method, and then we'll cut at some point, and I'll come back once I've done like at least 200 pieces and show you guys how much silver. Because you saw at the beginning of the video, I was at 1.04 million. So we're spending some, making some, but we're not making it yet because I'm going to mass sell all of this once I have it at level 4, and I'll show you guys at the end how much silver was made. See you guys in a sec. All right, guys, so I'm back. Did about 200 pieces. We had the 100 that was on the screen before, leveled all the rest of those to 4, sold 90+% of it, found a couple more pieces, then pulled like 100 more from my inbox, leveled all those to 4. So now it's time for the big reveal to see, did we actually make decent silver or decent points from this? Okay, so we got a pretty good gain on silver. So we spent a little bit, obviously, that we wouldn't have spent if we just sold the gear without leveling it up. But obviously we were doing those levels to 4 to try to mix the efficiency of not spending a lot of silver with getting a little bit of points. So we got 7.5 mil when we started with 1.04 mil. So that's a pretty good silver increase for just like a couple batches of gear that we went through. You could definitely end up, after a lot of dungeon running, going through a lot more gear than that if you have the time. If we look at the points are okay. I think that we were at 27 something, so we really got like about 400, maybe close to 500 points. That's not nothing for sure, but it's not crazy. Like at the beginning it would be more, but like once you get to here, you got, you know, one tier for about 500, another one for about 500, then it gets to 625. Then we go to, what is that, like 575, I think, something like that. So it's about a tier for me, doing 200 pieces of crap gear and then selling them. Well, the selling them doesn't matter, right? Because that doesn't give you points for this event. Just the upgrading to level 4. Now, I do recommend that you just go ahead and do that with all the trash gear and then get the rest of the points from your gear that you're actually going to keep. And then if you also aren't familiar with this method, this is a great one as well, where you go in, and I do this all the time religiously, and you level a bunch of gear. So you can see right here, level 11, 11, 11, 11, 15. At those, like levels 7, 11, and 15 are the one right before the level where you get points for the Gear Enhancement Event. So level 8, you get well, level 4 too, obviously, because of the whole point of this freaking video, but level 4, level 8, level 12, level 16. So if you level them up to 1 away, what you're going to do is you're going to have a lot less silver expenditure when you go to rank this up like this. Look, just boom, 1 level. Let's see what we spend. 148, that seems like it was actually a little bit high, but 148K is not that much when you got 7 million, right? And you spent 148K, sometimes less, maybe sometimes a little bit more, and got the points for a piece going to level 12, which is way more than going to just level 4. So probably going through with the pieces that I've prepped like this that are at level 11 or level 15 are going to actually give me the points that I need. I'm guessing probably to get all the way through to the rest of it. right? Because I have a lot more gear that I was preparing from before, not just the gear I pulled out of my inbox today, most of which was trash and most of which I sold. So I still think this is a really good method. Basically, based on my analysis of the result, it doesn't give crazy points in the event, but it does give good silver, and it gives enough points to probably be worth it. So let me know what you think in the comments below, guys. Do you think that leveling this for those points is worth your time? I personally think it is, especially if you're struggling to do these events, because at the end of the day, that's all it is giving you guaranteed points in the event, even if it's not a wildly lucrative amount, just for hitting those levels, and you end up making silver in the process anyway, the same as if you hadn't leveled them. So it seems like a win-win, but let me know what you think in the comments below. Check out my Discord link in the description box, and until next time, guys, happy raiding.